Tuesday, August 11th, 2020, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today we're going to look at the Globalists' blueprint for taking over the world. Yes, some of you might think this is conspiracy, and that's fine with me, but I've done a lot of research, a lot of reading over 2 decades about this, and I'm convinced that's what they're trying to do right now, take over the world. Before I do that, of course, let's quickly look at the markets this morning. It's 7:05 a.m. London. I'm very early, of course, mainly because it's nice and cool at this time. It's been very hot here in England. So right now, we've got spot gold at 2008. It's actually down 20. So we're getting a little bit of a pullback for those who are waiting for a pullback if they want to pull the trigger. I'm not concerned about these moves. It's actually fiat currencies rebounding a little bit, and that's the way I look at it. Silver is down quite a bit. It outperformed gold yesterday, went up above 29. Today it's at 29.50 as I speak here. It's down 2%, but still way above where we closed on Friday. So yeah, we should expect this kind of volatility. I don't expect fiat currencies to pick up anytime soon. And by that, I mean years. I don't see central bankers raising rates, unwinding their balance sheet. I don't see governments and politicians reining in spending, paying off the national debt. I see all the opposite of that. So that's the precious metals. The Dow future is up 127 points, 27,900, up 0.5%. I did listen to Bo Pony's interview with Greg Hunter, and he had a good term for the stock market. It's Satan's market. So there you go. It's not real. It's not real. It's just a casino, and it's going to end in tears. The stock market. S&P 500 future is up 0.33%, up 10 points. NASDAQ 100 future up 50 at 11,140. So we're seeing the stock market do fairly well here. We're seeing bond yields rise as well a little bit here. Quickly look at the 10-year yields at 0.58. It's unchanged, but it's relatively high considering we got to around 0.52 last week. 2-year yield as well, unchanged at 0.133. The fiat currencies, quickly have a look at them. We've got the pound up 0.1% at 130.80, euros at 117.50, up 1/8%, and the dollar is also up 1/8 versus the Japanese yen at 106.09. Quickly look at the oil price here, WTI. Let's see where we are. We're at 42.50. Up 40 cents, just under 1%. So yeah, the markets are fairly quiet. A lot of people are expecting a pullback in precious metals. So if they can get any physical metal out there, good luck. And well, first of all, they have to be able to find it, right? The silver or the gold. And maybe there will be a little discount compared to yesterday. I doubt it. I think there's still a lot of shortage of the metals. Market is still very tight. So yesterday I saw a comment by Dr. Thorsten Polleit. He's a German economist. I've known him for quite a few years. When I worked in the city, he worked at Barclays, and he writes for the Mises.org website. That's the website for the main Austrian School of Economics Institute in the U.S. in Auburn, Alabama. I actually went with my wife in 2002 for the Mises Institute 20th anniversary. There was like a conference in Auburn, Alabama. We went to that. So I've been studying the Austrian School of Economics for years, and Thorsten writes for them. And he worked for Barclays in Frankfurt while he was writing for them. I thought that was interesting. And now he doesn't work in the banking sector anymore. But I did an interview with him, and I'm going to put it up in the cards in the description about what's going on. It's probably just over a month ago, but he posted this on LinkedIn, and I thought this is really interesting because even Greg Mannarino talks about how they're going to take over everything. So this is what Thorsten says. As you can see, he's an economist, professor, honorary professor of economics at the University of Bayreuth, that's in Germany, in Bavaria. And he says the government crashes the economy. Well, we know they've done that, right? It's not been a pandemic or virus that's done that. It's been the governments. Then it makes firms dependent on its loans, all the programs, not only here in the UK, but everywhere else. If firms cannot service their debt, the government nationalizes them via, say, debt for equity swaps. Karl Marx would be delighted, and certainly about the IMF's ingenuity. So this is a flow chart from the IMF. And before I go into that chart, I just want to say, why Karl Marx? Why would Karl Marx be proud? Well, because Karl Marx was financed by the globalists. They probably weren't called that back then. They were the major bankers, right? They financed him. Why? Well, because the bankers hate competition. They want to consolidate. That's one of the terms. I think the original J.D. Rockefeller said consolidation. He also said he hated competition. And if you don't believe me that the bankers financed the Bolshevik Revolution as well, or that they financed the Third Reich, you should check out Anthony without the H, C. Sutton. Just Google his name, Anthony C. Sutton. There's a great interview here that he's done. It's 40 minutes long. A lot of information, and all his books, they're very interesting. So here we go. Wall Street and the Rise of Hitler. Wall Street and the Bolshevik Revolution, America's Secret Establishment, the Federal Reserve Conspiracy, Wall Street and FDR. Great book. So, yeah, if you think this is a conspiracy, yeah, read Anthony C. Sutton or listen to his interviews. So, back to Thorsten's flow chart, or the IMF. This is courtesy of the IMF itself. So it says, financing smaller firms, a central bank lending program can incorporate public risk sharing. I like the way they say that. It's just public risk sharing. That's, well, taxpayer. You're gonna be lumbered with it. Not the bankers, of course, but once they pull the plug, because they're gonna pull the plug again. They pulled the plug, locking down the economies. Then they lend the firms and even individuals money. They give them forbearance, and then they pull the plug again, and then they can swoop in because all the major central banks are owned by the big private banks. Yeah, listen to my part 2 interview with Alan Myers. I'll put it up in the cards as well, about how the monetary system works. Alan Myers has done great research on the Fed, and he shows how each individual Federal Reserve bank, regional bank, is privately owned. So there you go, a central bank lending program. So government equity investment in the special purpose vehicle, while the Federal Reserve is doing that. The other thing that's really quite interesting is that these special purpose vehicles are usually based offshore in tax havens, and then central bank funds that, works together with the government, other financial institutions. Well, those are the private banks. Then they give the cash through other financial institutions, and there at the bottom, those are the patsies, or the people, not the patsies, but the people that are going to be enslaved by debt, whose businesses and livelihoods are going to be dependent on David Rockefeller's ideal of globalism, right? He even stated that he was proud of it, of being an internationalist, of trying to set up a world run by technocrats and bankers. So there you go. At the bottom, small and medium-sized enterprises, working capital and payroll. So that's the IMF's flow chart of how they're going to do it. Unfortunately, very few people are going to be looking at that. You here in my channel, I've been telling you this for years, and I've also been telling you about this crisis since it started, that I thought it was a very similar crisis to the oil embargo crisis of the 1970s, which Lindsay Williams wrote about. He called it the energy non-crisis. So you can see what I think about this crisis. It's going to be a crisis used to usher in, they're going to try to usher in their agenda, their globalist agenda. And it's been in the works for decades or even hundreds of years. So before I finish, I have another great interview that you need to listen to. Shows you who's really behind all this crisis that is happening today. Yes, I've spoken about the World Economic Forum, that they have a blueprint for responding to the crisis of 2020, the health crisis, that they want to bring in a fourth industrial revolution, that they want to bring in a great reset. And I think they are just one of the arms, like a think tank arm of something much bigger. So I highly recommend people listen to this video. It's from George Hunt. I'm not going to go through who he was. Listen to him, please. Listen to this video and then you will know. He talks about Rothschild Conservation Bank's plan to swap land for fake debt. Don't get too bogged down on the title of the video. It's a long video. It's over an hour. It really shows you who's behind the climate change agenda, the United Nations, woke government, and everything else. I highly recommend you watch this video. You don't have to, of course. You could be saying, well, this guy is full of it. What's he talking about? But I don't care. You can't. But I'm sure a lot of you probably will listen to it. So there you go. They're really ratcheting things up here. They're really trying to take over. They're trying to change the way we live. And hopefully they will not succeed. And if they do succeed, we will be able to protect ourselves a little bit financially, being outside the system, still stacking our precious metals, our gold and silver, so that we can try to maintain some inkling of freedom in this world that's, in my opinion, is being targeted by the globalists for a takeover. I even saw this morning the FT, which I referenced, but doesn't mean to say I agree with everything they say. It's a globalist mouthpiece, of course, but sometimes you need to read what the enemy is saying. They've even got Tony Blair writing for them, saying how the world should deal with this pandemic. So it just goes to show you what kind of publication the FT is. I haven't read Mr. Blair's suggestions yet. I'm not sure I really want to read it. But maybe I should. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. So I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.